I must say, find yourself someone who looks at you like Bill Clinton looks at photos reminiscing of his time with Jeffrey Epstein. Look at him. Oh my gosh, he is like, yeah. Oh yeah, those were the good old days. Soaking it all in. Like, I don't know, a little boy seeing his first Playboy. The lawyer's like, no. Bill says, no, give that back to me. Give it back to me. I'm enjoying this. By the way, in case you're wondering, the rest of his testimony, it did not go great for him either. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. So obviously yesterday, if you guys watched the show, we had a clip of Hillary Clinton just melting down over the most random thing. Like, someone's taking a picture of me while there's a video camera recording me. Oh no, I'm so super offended by the picture. But while we were taping the show yesterday, they had the Clintons testifying, the footage. They were like all releasing all at once. So we didn't get a chance to go through all of it. But we did now. We've had 24 hours. And I have some thoughts. I have some takeaways from this, okay? For starters, Bill Clinton is old. And he looks it, okay? Bill Clinton looks very old. However, he is 4 years younger than Joe Biden, which is wild to me. And there's a lot of good clips in the testimony. So remember, in his opening statement, he was, which we already saw, we already had the written statement. He was, he was saying a lot of things that we all know is probably not true, right? So he was like, first, I had no idea of the crimes Epstein was committing. No matter how many photos you show me, I have two things that at the end of the day matter more than your interpretation of those 20-year-old photos. Remember, he is trying to create a whole lot of distance between the photos that were taken of him and young girls, which we know because they blacked out the faces. So it's like Bill Clinton swimming with Ghislaine and woman whose face is redacted, which means she was a minor. I mean, we could go on, right? The point is, he's already in his opening statement trying to create the separation so that when you look at the photo of Bill Clinton doing some weird things with young girls, you don't go, wow, that's really strange. That seems bad. You're like, oh, it's 20 years old. It's fine. Because apparently, I guess like 20 years ago, we didn't frown on sex trafficking of young minors. Like, Bill, doesn't matter if it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago, it's still bad. But he brought up the photos. So they actually decided to show him some of the photos of his time with Epstein during the testimony. And as I pointed out to you, I'm just going to let you watch this one more time. He is having quite the time reliving his past experience with Epstein. And by the way, as you'll see, all of it was really good because it brings a smile to his face. He's reminiscing, I guess, purportedly about all of his time with the young girls on the island and the Lolita Express. He's very fond of these memories with Jeffrey Epstein. Watch. This old man panting. Oh, yeah. The lawyer's like, Bill, hey, give those back. Let me see. I was looking at those. He's so old. He's like, ooh, she was a good one. Yep, remember that. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that was a good one.
Mr. President, we have about 5 minutes remaining in the majority's first hour.
Look at him. He is like, boy, those were the good old days. Oh, man, you could just get on the Lolita Express and go to the Epstein Island and all your worries will just melt away. That is not, to me, not the vibes you want to be giving when you're being questioned about your involvement with a known sex trafficker of young girls. Probably not the look that you want to give. And it's very interesting because he's looking at these pictures like, I don't know, J.B. Pritzker looks at a donut or a Big Mac or insert high calorie food here. Speaking of, now that I think of it, I think the only high-ranking Democrat that hasn't been screaming from the hills to release the Epstein files, at least to my knowledge, you guys let me know in the comments if I'm missing something here, it's J.B. Pritzker, because, well, I think we know now, Bill Clinton just ratted him out as having flown on Epstein's plane, the Lolita Express. Oopsies.
You apparently took 26 flights on planes connected to Jeffrey Epstein. When you took these flights, you're saying a lot of them were on behalf of your foundation or your charitable work, correct?
Yes.
Who did you normally bring on these flights?
And I had the Secret Service with me. And then on occasion, I had people who had volunteered to help us and wanted to see what we were doing. Right. For example, I think it was on one of these trips, I think, that I had my first trip for the man who's now the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and his wife. They helped me get started.
Ooh. I think J.B. Pritzker could have, he's like, you didn't have to remember that nugget, Bill. You said, I think so many times. Maybe if you weren't sure, you could have just kept your damn mouth shut, J.B. Pritzker's thinking. Why did you have to bring my name into this? I had done so well, just keeping my name out of it. And Bill Clinton's like, actually, let me tell you how J.B. Pritzker is tied to Jeffrey Epstein. Like, wow. Now, it gets worse for Bill Clinton because not only is J.B. Pritzker probably really, really pissed off at him, he claimed while under oath, like you couldn't even make this up. Bill Clinton claimed while under oath that he never has lied while under oath, which is very interesting when we just revisit some of Bill Clinton's very famous history. Let's listen to Bill Clinton say, no, I have never lied under oath. Nope, not a thing that I have done. Watch.
First question I have for you, Mr. President. Have you ever lied in a deposition?
No.
Have you ever lied while under oath?
No.
I think what he meant was, no, I've never lied while under oath, except for the time that I was impeached for lying under oath about having an affair with my intern, Monica Lewinsky. That must have been what he meant. He was like, oh, there's an asterisk there. Have I ever lied under oath? No, asterisk, except for that one time that I was impeached for lying under oath about having a sexual relationship with my staffer.
Well, they didn't ask what the definition of is.
They didn't. They didn't.
You forgot.
You're right. It depends on what the definition of is. How could I know? Wait, does oral count? Anyway, you get where I'm going, right? Like, that is not a good look. Is Bill Clinton really so old? I mean, he looks very old and fragile and like he's got the goofy old man like weirdness going on and his hands are shaking. But like, do you really reach a point in your life? What did that say he was? 79 years old. Do you really reach a point in your life where you actually forget that you were a president who was impeached for lying under oath about the affair that you had in the Oval Office with your staffer? Like, I feel like that would have to be the very last memory to go. Like that would have to be if you had dementia and you were old and you were like sundowning and you were slowly the memories were just leaving your body. That must be like the last one to leave your body, you would think. But he's never lied under oath. He said while lying under oath. Now, that aside, he was also grilled about what Epstein meant about liking them young when he talked about this. And there was another like oopsies, I guess, from Bill Clinton here. Watch.
Epstein said
you quote, like them young. Why would Epstein say that about you?
Are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say something about him?
Why would Epstein say that about the
So she's asking
president?
you to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
First of
Clinton
all,
likes them young, referring to girls.
first of all, that's not true.
What's not true?
That I have any
Yes.
interest in underage,
I didn't say underage, I said young.
but it's still not true.
Is an intern young?
Oh.
Yes.
Here's where he's wrong. There's not a male doesn't exist who's like, nope, actually, I only like them old. That's it. Joke's on you. I don't like them young, only like them old. Like, that's not how males work. So it's not even believable that he'd be like, no, I like them ancient. Just like my wife, Hillary Clinton. I would never think of another woman like that. Come on. You literally had multiple affairs on your wife with young women. Just admit it. This is a defensive person. This is a man who's very, very defensive. I wonder why. I mean, psychology would tell you that you're defensive when you're guilty. You get like extra defensive as some people's defense mechanism. They get way too extra defensive. They're like, no, that's not true. No, I've been liking old women my whole life. Even when I was 18, I only liked 50-year-olds. That's not true. Like, whoa, sir, that seems really weird. We were just asking if you liked young women. Clearly you have a track record. It's very odd behavior, Bill. Now, there were a lot of questions also about why Ghislaine Maxwell was at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Remember, Hillary was like, well, she was just someone's guest. She was someone's plus one. I don't know. I didn't know. Ghislaine who? But Bill Clinton didn't do his answer to that question. He did not do Hillary any favors in squaring that one up. Watch.
During Ms. Maxwell's interview, she stated that President Clinton was her friend, not Epstein's friend. Is that accurate?
I'd say that it was accurate to say that I felt closer to her than to him.
And for the record, why was that?
Because I had seen her more and because she was very good friends with Evelyn Rothschild and his wife Lynn, whom I knew and was in regular touch with.
Uh-oh. Well, that's not like she was just a plus one. I had no idea she was going to be there, never talked to the woman before. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. Bill's like, actually, we were all very close, actually. We all had the Rothschild family in common, which is a whole nother thing to get into. Now, what I personally loved was that within this entire story, I mean, remember, these people are actually testifying in front of Congress because the Democrats decided that they were going to go all in with the Epstein files because they thought when Donald Trump's DOJ, when Pam Bondi bungled the release of the Epstein files, and she did, it was just a disaster that didn't have to be. It was a completely unforced error. When she bungled the release of the Epstein files, the Democrats said, oh, here's our moment. Donald Trump must be in them. He's guilty. That's why they're not doing it. Now, keep in mind, if they had more than two brain cells to rub together, they would have thought a little bit longer than 5 seconds and gone, oh, if he were in the Epstein files, they would have released that under Joe Biden because they tried to ruin his whole life. They tried to kill him. They tried to throw him in prison. Obviously, if there was something there, they would have already released it. Clearly, there's not, but Democrats they're not smart, okay? So they're thinking, oh, we got him. We got to release the files. We have to have this testimony on Capitol Hill. Everyone is going to go down. And in fact, the only recurring theme with the Epstein files from literally everyone that they've talked to, including the victims, is that President Trump seems to be the one person in the entire world who nobody ever saw him do anything wrong. They didn't see him with the young girls. They didn't see how Jeffrey Epstein hated him. Mike Johnson says Donald Trump was an FBI informant against Epstein. Like, it is so funny that the one thing that everyone, Democrat and Republican, can agree on is that Donald Trump did nothing wrong, including Bill Clinton yesterday when these were released. Watch.
I hate this, but because I don't believe I should inject anything. But I do not want to leave the impression, but since there was no follow-up question, the president never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. That's the truth. As I said earlier, the only conversation I had with President Trump about this was in the early 2000s. And I have no information that he did anything wrong. I just want it all out there. I want everybody to get it all out there and let everybody see where we are.
God, can you imagine the ass whipping that he got from Hillary that night? She's like, did you really have to say he didn't do anything wrong? You could have just you didn't have to highlight that, Bill. Did you really have to, my mortal enemy, and you had to just go out there and be like, by the way, Donald Trump, totally innocent with regard to Epstein. You just had to do it. Like, she must have been sobbing in her wine all night. And me personally, I love to see it. All right, make sure that you subscribe. Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, of course. Smash the like button and comment. It'll help us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. What was your favorite clip of Bill Clinton? What was your favorite moment of the Bill Clinton testimony? There were a lot of really lovely little tidbits in there. By the way, make sure to go over and subscribe to Sara Gonzales TX. As I mentioned on social media, we are releasing our second H-1B expose. You're not going to want to miss it. And I want to thank our sponsor, Shopify. I love Shopify. If you go over to my website, AmericanBeautyBySarah.com, you will see a beautiful website that is all run from Shopify. And so what Shopify does, by the way, when I started this, I had no idea what I was doing, how I could do it online, how all of this online fulfillment worked. But Shopify actually makes it so easy. It is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from household names like mine, AmericanBeautyBySarah.com, to brands that are just getting started. So it's good for small businesses. It's good for large businesses. What my favorite thing is about Shopify is that their mobile app is so freaking easy. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at stuff like this. And I can do everything on the go from my phone. It is so brilliant. And they've got 24/7 customer support that has always done a great job to help me. So if you've got a business, it's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/Sarah. That is shopify.com/Sarah. I try to sound the alarm about the Islamification of this country to great extent. And it's hard because it's hard explaining to people who haven't experienced the pain yet. I'm very excited to welcome to the show someone who actually who understands what is happening here in America because he saw it happen to his home. Tommy Robinson, a man who needs no introduction. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so happy to be here.
What made you decide to come to Texas?
To come to Texas, meetings, interviews, but also to see the start of what's developing in America. I've seen it all. Yeah. So I've just gone today. I've come to Texas. I'm in Dallas. I've gone to the huge mega mosque, which it has to be called a mega mosque. It's huge. Yeah. That's bigger than many mosques we have in the UK. We have a big problem.
Really?
And I obviously looked at Texas, 330 mosques now. 5 years ago, you had just over 200. I'm looking at the increase, 50 mosques in the last 2 years, the growth. I've seen this. When I was born in 1982 in my hometown, there was one mosque. There's now 45. So I've seen what comes with that. And I've gone to the mosque just to check it out. And as I've gone to the mosque, we've obviously been told we're not allowed to film, go away, security have all come out. And then I've looked at the surrounding shops where they built a halal market city. And I've gone into the shops just to see the change in face of, this is what people need to understand is, if you're outside of Texas, you're outside of Plano, and you're not seeing what's happening here, you can't ignore this because it's come into your town. It's here now. So as I went through, I walked into the first shop. I said, hi, is every bit of meat in here halal? Yes, it is. I said, can I get some non-halal? No, you can't. Went to the next shop, it's all clothing for Muslim women. The next shop, it's all Arabic and Islamic symbols. The next shop, so all the shops. Now, at the end of these shops is a big Christian church. That will not be a church for long. And then I've gone and met, I've met a lot of, whether you call them influencers, YouTubers, commentators, politicians since I've been here, but I wanted to meet some everyday Americans who are affected by this. So I met a young lady today, Abby, who has no influence, has no show, she's not an expert, she's not political, but she's seen the change in face of her community. And her grandmother's from this area, and then her mother's from this area. She's now fled this area after facing harassment and targeting by Muslim men. Now, she broke down today on camera, and American women, Western women should not have to be living like this. We should not be having, and what I'm going to tell the story in my latest video. This is what we call in the UK white flight. So large mosques, money comes in from Saudi, from Qatar, from Iran. They build these enclaves. These enclaves are not here to assimilate and integrate. They're here to dominate. And you've seen it with the plans for Epic City. Now, next door to this mosque, and I wonder how many people are actually aware of Epic City. I know it's been a big talking point. But when I went to look at the road next to this mosque, which is owned by, I believe all the villas, large, beautiful homes, are owned by the mosque. It's called Medina Villas. There's Mashallah House. And the planned city that they had, or the 400, the planned city that they had with 1,000 homes, the Islamic enclave they want to build, the roads are going to be called after Islamic conquerors. Not Islamic peacemakers, Islamic conquerors. Because this is what this is. This is about conquering America, it's about conquering Texas. And this is a blueprint. So America, people outside of Texas, this is a blueprint for every town and city. I've seen this. I tried warning about this 15 years ago in my hometown. Everyone turned against me. No one wanted to have the discussion. Because if you have the discussion and you accept the reality, what are you going to do about it?
Right.
That's the reality. What are you going to do about it? Because you're going to have to do something.
Yep. Unless
you want the same problems that we faced in Europe, you have a choice now. You're at a crossroads. I know the rapes in my country last year were 80,000. In 2003, we had 8,800 rapes. 2023, we had 88,000 rapes. Now, compare 88,000 rapes to Poland, which had 600, or you can compare it to Hungary, which had 700. The safest countries in Europe now, Hungary, Poland. Why? Because they didn't open their borders to mass Islamic immigration. You have been quite a successful story, America, how to welcome in migrants and make them integrate and assimilate from all over the globe. You're not going to do that with migrants from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. You're mixing oil and water.
Yeah, why do you think, why have they chosen Texas? I mean, they clearly have chosen Texas as their epicenter in this country. Why do you think that is?
I think many areas have been chosen, even if you look at where the Somalians have been based in Minnesota. Yeah. They've gone from the hottest place on the planet to the coldest place. That's not a choice they'd make. If they're coming to America, they're not going to think, let's go to the coldest place because we're going to fit in there.
Right.
They've been put there. And the communities, you have to understand the expansion of these communities. So if they want to bring people in to swing votes and change votes and the Democrats are the ones that welcomed all this in. Yep. But the problem is when you start looking at the funding for some of the Republicans in this area, they're receiving mass funding from Pakistan, from Pakistani billionaires. Yep. And then they're literally, because what you have to understand is my hometown of Luton is now 50% Kashmiri, Pakistani. We're never getting it back. Now, you can either let Texas go, but I come to Texas to experience the American... When we hear back home, and I'm glad I just did, I just went to Hutchins, which is, oh my God, wow.
It's so good.
It far super...
Texas barbecue.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. But that's what, when I think of Texas, when I was standing there, I didn't feel like I was in Texas, at this mosque, and looking at all these Islamic shops. But some people would say, well, what's the problem? It's only a small number. We have Muslims in my hometown, in my town, who are born there. There's interviews from them. They've gone to school in Islamic school, because this is what will happen. They create their own schools where they teach the Quran every single day. They then leave, they work, and they never meet a non-Muslim. Mm-hmm. And then Sharia is coming. We have 100 Sharia law courts operating in our country, 100. And then you have a government. If you've been watching, I'm totally embarrassed on behalf of the British public. We are humiliated at the non-leadership and the cowardice shown by Keir Starmer in not allowing America to use our bases when you're going to war with one of the most fascist, supremacist countries on the planet, the Islamic regime, behind most terrorist organisations, behind 12 plots in our country. Yeah, and we didn't support America. It's embarrassing, it's humiliating. Do you know why Keir Starmer done that? Because he's scared. He's scared of the hostile Islamic community that he's imported. And when your foreign policy or your values start being changed because you're worried about affecting an Islamic community, which is why the fraud happened in Minnesota, they turn a blind eye because they're loyal voters. They're not going to upset them. They're quite happy. Go do what you want. It's why a generation of Britain's daughters were raped at the hands of Islamic gangs because the government, the police, no one wanted to upset them. But they're not willing to upset them, but they're willing to let our children be kidnapped and raped.
Right.
They're importing a vote bank that will be so powerful you have no idea what's coming. You just don't.
You know, it's interesting because my friend Chad Prather, I just saw that he had written a post about the Muslim takeover, which obviously we're seeing. I'm a born and raised native Texan. I've lived here my whole life. I'm seeing it happen in front of my very eyes. And there are people, I'm sure they said the same thing to you, which was like, that's not true. It's not happening. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. And I saw someone that commented on his post yesterday, and they said less than 2% of the population in Texas is Muslim. Now, I don't know if that's a correct figure. I would guess that it's probably higher. But the point that they're trying to make is like, oh, it's such a small percentage. Don't worry about it. It's like,
it's their biggest weapon. It's their biggest weapon.
Well, right, exactly. And I'm like, and you think that will stay at 2%? I mean, the whole point is that they have to start somewhere and then they just keep exponentially increasing. That's how it works every single time they do this.
It's the biggest weapon. So, for example, Manchester, after the Ariana Grande bombings, where 26 children were blown up. Do you know if we had a Donald Trump ban? You know the Donald Trump ban in his first presidency? Yeah. 8 countries, 10 countries. They called it the Muslim ban. Yes. It wasn't a Muslim ban. Right. It was countries that you don't share intelligence, that are unsafe countries. So he had that ban. If we'd have had that, those 26 children would be alive. Because Salman Abedi was allowed to fly to a terror state with no government and allowed to get weapons training, bomb training, come back and blow up children. There would be 280 extra alive citizens if we had just that style ban. But they're more worried about offending a few people's feelings than saving British citizens. You have a leader in your country currently who cares about your American citizens, and you need to stop this problem. When they say the numbers, the UK population, so when I looked in Manchester, their population went from 25,000 to 50,000 10 years later. It went from 50,000 to 100,000 10 years later. Now, if we carry on this trend, there's only 500,000 people in that city. Within 2 generations, you're gone. And that's what we're witnessing. And you see, the lady I met today, so I'm very, very, very grateful to have the experience with an everyday American girl who's seen the change in this area. She said, within 5 years, I just looked around and thought, where am I? That's how quickly it's going to happen.
Exactly.
That's planned. They're flooding it. Your births are not going up. Ours are, and again, I always bring this back to my hometown. We have, in 2013, I looked at the democratic growth forecast for the communities within the town. The Pakistani and Bangladeshi community by 2030, which is a 17-year period, they're going to increase by 70 to 77%. The white and black by 1.2% to 1.4%. Now, these numbers, my local imam's got 3 wives and 14 kids.
Right.
We can't compete with it.
Right.
We can't. And we're failing. And that quick changes. So them saying we're only a small number, and when they're a small number, you might be able to deal with some of the crimes. We have 40,000 Muslims on a terror watch list. 3,000 of them monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at a cost of £9 billion a year. The last 5 terrorist attacks weren't from those in the top 3,000. So if we double the communities, 40,000 becomes 80,000, then what are you going to do?
Right.
That's an army. We've only got 70,000 armed forces. Right. So the numbers accelerate so quick, so fast. And even look at the statistics in the United States of America. Our rape rates. Do you want to protect your women or not? Do you want to protect your country or not? You're at a crossroads. I think you've had a referendum today. Ken Paxton, is it? I think the Americans have been given a choice in Texas today on what they want and what future they want. And you've had a choice between someone who I believe has £4 million in funding and another gentleman who's cucking for Muslims who looks like he's had nearly 100 million. So I hope Texas make the right choice, which we'll soon see.
Sure. And
that's a choice between strength and what that also could do. I've come here to interview Americans, politicians, because unfortunately, every terrorist attack we've had in my country, which we've had so many, the terror plots, the jihad, soldiers beheaded, children blown up, women stabbed to death in restaurants, just massacres and jihad on the streets of the UK. We've stopped probably on average 1 a month as well because of our security services. But in all the time of having that, not one single politician, not one, since Gladstone and Churchill has had the discussion in Parliament of Islam or Sharia. Not one.
Yeah.
Now you are ahead of the game. You've got some brave Keith Self, you've got some brave politicians that are coming together and realising we need to protect America, and you do. This is going to become the most prominent issue in your country, I guarantee you.
Agree.
But you can look. You have politicians, you can look at Britain.
Right.
Look at
That's what
France.
I keep telling people. I say it all the time. I'm like, we have the map of how this happens. Just go look over there. Why do we need to repeat it for ourselves?
The same groups that are operating, so like the Muslim Brotherhood, these terrorist organisations, CARE in the United... I looked at CARE for so long in this country, and I was gobsmacked. They become part of your establishment.
Yes.
They were in bed.
Yes.
They were in the middle of it.
Yeah.
These are people who wish to subjugate the non-Muslim community. They wish to implement Sharia. That's their end goal. They have the same end goal. Where you have...
They're saying it out loud too, by the way.
I can't believe how vocal they are.
I know. They're saying...
America.
I know. All the
1%.
quiet parts out loud.
1%.
Right.
Why don't they just shut up?
I know.
Because they're going to get there anyway.
I know.
Through birth rate, through immigration, through plan, through money. The money comes in from Qatar. Qatar has spent £1 billion in my country, radicalising and Islamising. But the problem is they're allies with our nations and our leaders because of the economy, with how much money. But the leaders need to separate the economics of the country with the culture of the country.
Yeah.
You can't give your culture away for money. You can't sell your nation.
Yeah.
And that's what our leaders have done. It's what the European Union have done. They want to break down society, immigration. And it was so fascinating to meet an American girl earlier who's experiencing what we've all experienced. As the Muslim community grows, then you have white flight, which is where people feel uncomfortable. They start getting harassed. They then leave. Then they don't recognise anyone. The breakdown in community. When you break down a family, which has been orchestrated and organised as well, you have when you get rid of the father, you then have people who are susceptible to radicalisation, to gangs, to all these things. When you break down a community, you break down the ability to resist.
Right.
And even in Britain, and this is all planned, because in Britain, the pub is the heartbeat of British culture. Yeah. They're all closing. They've made sure they're closing. It's the one place where we come together as communities and you talk about politics. They don't even want us talking about it.
Yeah.
We know that. You know that from the Twitter files.
I do.
America knows that. We know. You saw big tech censorship. You saw what they done. Look what they done to Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Your work is just so critical. Tell everyone, if they're not yet following you, tell everyone where they can find you.
You can follow me on X, which is my main platform. In fact, there's a Christian revival happening in Britain. There's a cultural revolution happening in Britain. None of it would have happened without Elon Musk buying X. And just to Americans, when you voted for Donald Trump, you voted to not just save America, but to save Western civilization. We're grateful. You've given us light at the end of the tunnel. There's a fire been lit in the belly of every British person who now knows we have hope. We have hope. I'm optimistic. Our country's awake. The only way you can awaken people is by discussions like this, on shows like this. Yeah. And they had control for so long. They had control. They censored Republican voices. They deplatformed. I was invisible. So I'm now on X. That's my main platform. It's my main place. I'm back. I'm on YouTube as well, but they refuse to monetize us. Yeah. They don't want you.
They don't like you. No,
because if I was monetized, I can hire security. They don't like it. Probably they've been forced to give people back a voice when Donald Trump was elected. A ripples come from America. Yeah. Okay, a ripple of free speech. When we hear J.D. Vance, do you know what? Do you know how the feeling it gives us when we see the American J.D. Vance, we see them talking about our free speech and warning the European Union and warning our leaders. We're very grateful.
Well, I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you, and I'm happy to connect. I hope you come back soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Before we go, I want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. Speaking of this whole fight, Patriot Mobile they have been in this fight. They are fighting on the front lines, putting their money where their mouths are, and trying to donate to all of these conservative causes to stop all of the Muslim immigrants. I spoke with Glenn and Jenny Story personally about this. They are all in. And so if you need good, reliable cell phone coverage and you want to join America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, go to patriotmobile.com. They've got nationwide coverage. It's like all three major networks. Everyone shares the same cell tower. So it's the same nationwide coverage you are reliant upon every day. You can take your phone. You can get a new one. You can set it up however you'd like over at patriotmobile.com. Go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Use promo code Sarah for 1 month of free service. That is patriotmobile.com/Sarah. I've dealt with a lot when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus two-spirit, whatever the hell else you want to add in there, community, the alphabet mafia. I've dealt with a lot when it comes to that mafia. But sometimes I watch a clip of this gang and it shocks even me. And I saw this come across my X feed. This clip of a trans activist in California threatening to kill an anti-trans protester who, by the way, was like well within her rights to just ask simple questions. You're out in public, you're allowed to speak. If someone doesn't want to speak back, they don't have to. And boy, let me tell you, this escalated really quickly. Take a look.
What's that? Great. What age do you think a girl's mature enough to have?
I think that's a decision for herself, her providers, and parents.
How did you feel about your body change as you were going through treatment?
I have lots of different feelings about it, but you know what? I'm just going to go over here and stand. I'm not going to be so quiet to you because I'm sitting next to you to counter your hatred.
You guys, it's not hatred to tell a child that they can grow up to be healthy and whole. A girl cop surgery. Kaiser Permanente charges over $100 copay, and the surgeon makes $25,000. I was approved for a phalloplasty with 2 appointments over Zoom. My doctor told me I could have a fake penis that would allow me to either pee standing up or to have penetrative sex, but not both. Do you think your transgender child might one day have top surgery and a phalloplasty? Is that something you would allow them to have? You know, they make a phalloplasty out of the skin tissue on your thigh or your forearm. It's like a skin sausage. It's a fake penis. $130,000.
I'm going to hunt you down and
Wait, you can't say that. You can't tell somebody you're going to kill them. You can't say that.
Woo! Joining me now is Beth Bourne, the woman you just saw assaulted. She's an advocate for parental rights, women's sports for women only, and free speech in Davis, California. Beth, thank you for joining me today. I cannot believe how well you handled that. I mean, I saw how hard she grabbed your face and she like shoved it away. That was clear assault. And you were just like, you're not allowed to say that, ma'am.
You know, I've had a lot of experience now interacting with these I don't know what you want to call them, these
psychopaths,
trans cult believers. Yeah. And so I just, you know, I know what my rights are in a public space like that, and I know it's okay to ask questions. And she knew I was recording, and I think I might have made her feel uncomfortable having to confront the truth, you know, about this medical scandal that's kind of unfolding right now.
Yeah, I have to ask, like, did you contact the police after this? Like, what happened directly after she, you know, assaults you, threatens to kill you, and then walks out? What happened after that?
You know, I'm very careful where I do my protesting now because I know people can get violent. So there were actually 2 police officers standing within 10 feet behind me, and as well as maybe 3 security guards, all in uniform. Okay. And so immediately after it happened, I did report it to the police officer, and he went ahead and filmed my camera. So, you know, there's no way it could have been altered, right? He recorded it right then and there.
Great. And then do you know if they are doing anything about it? Because I don't know if it was the internet. I saw it on the internet under your post. They were very quick to find this woman. She has been identified as Madeline Mann. She is an administrative director at the University of California, San Francisco, in their research education programs. I mean, wow, what a shocker, Beth, that another person within the education, you know, industrial complex has this crazy psychopathic, you know, thought process about trans and is, you know, in that position.
You know, I worked at the University of California, Davis, just an hour and a half away, and it really is an echo chamber. You know, it is a bubble within a bubble of people where everyone has to have the same belief system and nobody can question it. So I was not at all surprised that the suspect, I mean, I don't have any confirmation yet, but that, you know, that's clearly who it looks like is in the video.
Yeah, and I tried contacting the university to ask them about this, and you're going to be shocked to hear, Beth, I haven't heard back from them yet.
Shocking.
Yeah. So tell me, why do you go out here and why do you do this? It's obviously very dangerous. These people are unhinged. Tell me, why have you decided that you are going to wade into the lion's den and have these signs and confront these people?
So it's very personal to me. my daughter and my family we were very much harmed by this ideology and this belief system in our public schools. And I didn't realize what the teachers and counselors were saying to my daughter or what she was learning at school. And, her pediatricians here in Davis wanted to immediately medicalize her at Kaiser Permanente. And I pushed back. My daughter's, she's one of the lucky ones. She's healthy and whole. But it really, I have all the receipts. I have the medical records. I have the curriculum from the schools. And so I just realized I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do everything I could to end this, because I have so many friends and I've met so many parents who, and young people, detransitioners that have been harmed by this.
Yeah, myself as well, especially when, Chloe Cole, I'm sure you probably have met as well. You get to know these people and you hear their stories. And I really was like, man, the detransitioners are going to be so crucial for ending this once and for all, because their stories are so heartbreaking and so compelling. You can't overlook it and you can't ignore it. It really is incredible to see the work that they've done. But of course, it takes all of us, right? So you decided from your experience, having all of this, the personal experience with your child, you decided to go undercover and pretend to be non-binary to help expose what is happening.
Exactly.
I can't believe this is so epic. I pretended to be non-binary to expose a medical scandal at Kaiser Permanente and tell everyone how easy it was.
Yeah, I mean, this really is still like the craziest thing I've ever done. But it was so easy, and I knew that well, I guess I didn't know it would be this easy, but I just went ahead and I told my doctors, that because I was worried about my own daughter and turning 18.
Mm-hmm.
So this was maybe 3 years ago. And within 45 minutes after me declaring my non-binary gender identity, they had me meeting with a primary care physician to get on testosterone. That took 8 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
They changed my medical records that day to change my pronouns and my gender that day. And then it was this white glove experience, like, would you like to talk to a gender specialist? And then the surgeon, for a top surgery. And no matter what I said to them about having, mental illness in my family or been, sexually assaulted myself as a young girl or having, anorexia or eating disorders, common things that young women have experienced, or in my case, older women, they're still so happy to give me the surgery. So I got approved for the top surgery in 2 appointments. And then I also asked for a phalloplasty, and they approved that as well. They rushed it. They allowed me not to have to be on the testosterone for a year. They said, okay, in this case, we'll let you go ahead and do both the top surgery and the phalloplasty at the same time.
Oh my God.
Within a few months of me declaring my non-binary identity. So,
which is, it's so criminal, Beth, because to anyone that's paying attention, it's very obviously about profit. You mentioned it in your video with this woman. Yes. These doctors are making bank off of this. And then these people become lifelong patients. So it's just an ongoing cash cow. I don't understand how they're not recognizing that.
Yeah. No, it's true. And, then you have the revisions, and you have, your endocrine system's all messed up. So you need different drugs for that. Yeah. You become a medical patient for life.
God bless you for doing all of this great work, going out there. And tell me this, was this the most danger that you have found yourself in, or has it gotten worse than, someone grabbing your face and threatening to kill you?
I've been in a couple situations now with the Turning Point USA student clubs at UC Berkeley and at UC Davis. And both times when I went to hear a conservative speaker, I think last time it was Rob Schneider, the Antifa, Trans-Tifa, they show up, and, things were thrown at me. My signs were ripped up. I was punched in the back of the head on the UC Davis campus. So I've had physical assault several times now. With the threat, it did shake me enough that I wasn't able to even look at the video or post it for almost a week, because it was, it was pretty scary. Yeah. And I do feel it's just a really hard time to speak out, because the left is going to come after you.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, especially in California. I wouldn't,
Right.
I'm sure there are great men and women who serve as law enforcement in California. I know it's not all of them, but the fact that the Trans Tifa has been able to do what they've done to you, I mean, I would question how many have actually had repercussions from that, because what I see in some of the stuff that I'm watching, it's like, oh, great, you can assault someone and the police don't even do anything about it. So it's scary there in California.
It is.
I will be praying for you, for your safety, because there's a bunch of lunatics out there. I get it. You guys want to save your state, and I commend you for that, but it's dangerous in the meantime. So, Beth, tell everyone where they can follow your work.
I actually put a lot on Facebook under Beth Bourne, and I set it to public. And then I'm also on X. I think it's Bourne Beth 2345.
Yeah, Bourne_Beth 2345.
Yeah, thank you. There it is.
Yeah.
And I also did post the story on a Substack. So
great.
It's there. So.
Okay.
I really just appreciate it.
Yeah, can they find the Substack on your X account?
Yeah, it's Reality Last Stand. And I think if you just put in, Beth Bourne non-binary undercover, it would pop up.
The keywords you never thought that you would find yourself
exactly.
in. And now that's it. No, just Google Beth non-binary, and my name will pop right up on the first one.
Exactly. It does.
Well, I appreciate all of your great work. I will be praying for your safety. Stay safe out there, and we will be continuing to push the university for some sort of consequences for this woman. She should not be able to get away with this and keep her career intact, especially working for a university. So we will keep on that, and you keep doing your thing, and we'll support you, Beth.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Talk soon.
You. Okay.
So we have a pretty exciting announcement. The second part, the much anticipated H-1B visa scam documentary series, drops tomorrow morning. So make sure you go to our second channel, Sara Gonzales TX on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell. Make sure you get all the notifications so that when it gets released, you will be one of the first to see it. It's 100% free. Just go over to subscribe. But we're also planning something exciting for subscribers to BlazeTV. You can have the chance to ask me questions about the H-1B scams, our investigations and documentaries, anything that you want to know that's happening behind the scenes. It's an Ask Me Anything. It's called Off the Record. And we're going to have a live Q&A on BlazeTV. It's Friday at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. You can go to blazetv.com and subscribe today using promo code Sarah. You'll save $20. That is blazetv.com/Sarah, promo code Sarah. Well, it should be an interesting night tonight. Those of you who are keeping up, I will be at the Paxton election night watch party, praying for. Let's just win outright, okay? We don't need to extend the pain for John Cornyn. We don't need to let's just wrap this up. He doesn't need to spend any more money in what is obviously going to be a loss. And by the way, I don't know if you guys have heard, but the Democrat election day is actually tomorrow. So if you know any Democrats, make sure that they know they can actually vote tomorrow. The polls are open 7 to 7. By the way, I have to say that I'm joking because someone has actually gone to jail for sharing a meme about election day being the wrong date. So for the law enforcement, it's just a joke, okay?